Power, Happiness and Success family. This video is for anyone out there who wants to be more positive. And right, let's break this down. Let's dive in, shall we? Positivity can be experienced in many different ways. Okay, so you've got actual strategies such as like affirmations, incantations, anchoring to make you immediately create a certain, change your physiology and create a new state so that you feel more uplifted, empowered, ready to execute at a high level in order to achieve the sort of things and perform the way you want to perform in any capacity in life. You've got all these ways. Meditation helps you be more positive. Visualization helps you be more positive. Surrounding yourself with positive role models. You're not only listening to, auditorily, listening to certain people who are more uplifting, more positive, having a certain amount of friends who live the kind of lives that you appreciate, that you want to live. Because they say your wealth is kind of like the average of your 5 closest friends, and I take it a step further, and I think your level of consciousness, your level of happiness is the equivalent of 5 of your closest friends, for instance. But because you're constantly listening to them, hearing them, connecting yourself, associating yourself with your friends, and therefore you're either bringing yourself down in order to meet that group, or you're actually or you're going to actually just feel like you're superior to that group and not feel connected to them, and you feel like you're not growing. So either way, really pay attention to, and the same goes not just with your friends, but whom you listen to. So that's why I like immerse myself, and I'm always either physically working with my mentors, or I'm always listening to them like auditorily, like when I'm traveling around, or when I'm doing things, monotonous things around the house and these sort of things. I'm listening to it. I've got it in the background. I'm literally teaching myself. I'm literally indoctrinating myself and my subconscious, because when you get into a trance just means you're very much immersed internally in terms of what's going on. You kind of lose yourself. You're like, what am I doing? Oh yeah, how did I end up here? What happened? I lost track of time. Yeah, because you were in your own trance. You were in your own zone, if you will. You were being internal. And so when you're internal, I like to have things in the background, whether it be washing dishes or making food or exercising or whatever it is. If you've got whatever you've got in the background, whatever you're listening to, it's easier for you to feel it in your brain, if you will. And it's easier for your brain to absorb all this information, okay? Very powerful stuff. So yes, you can be positive in a whole host of different ways, but you will not be able to become and think more positively if you're filled with mental chaos, mental entropy, if you've got a lot of things on in your mind, if you're overwhelmed, if you're stressed, if you're fearful, if you're connected to your own egoic mind, your own conditioned consciousness, and you feel, this is me, these are my limitations, this is my lack, this is me being insecure, this is why I'm fearful, all these sorts of things that come from your ego, from labeling yourself and therefore others, for trying to be unique when really we're very much connected, all these sorts of things. So what we're going to need to do if we want to become more positive is we're going to want greater clarity. Now, clarity is slowing down your mental processes. Clarity is removing that negative talk slowly but surely, and you develop these through peacefulness. You develop these sort of things through deep breathing. You develop these sort of things through calmness, stillness. Positivity will not come from wanting to constantly feeling like you need to be more, constantly looking to fill that void, that gap within you. A lot of people try to fill that gap with food. A lot of people try to fill that gap, that void with alcohol. A lot of people try to fill that gap, that void through having sex or through television, or they constantly want more. They constantly feel like they need more. That's what an addiction is. And therefore, they're never going to actually become happy, enlightened, more spiritual. They're never going to experience that great joy and happiness and love for themselves and everyone around them, if they're constantly living in lack. Because you cannot thrive and truly help anyone in life, including yourself, if you're living in survival mode, if you're just scraping by every single day, which is what a lot of people do, predominantly because of their finances and their emotional turmoil, emotional stress through their personal relationships. Maybe they're struggling in certain avenues and relationships in their lives. Maybe they're struggling to pay for certain bills. Maybe they're constantly disparaging themselves, belittling themselves, and they're developing the acidity within their body, and they're not learning, they're not growing, because stress kills neurons. A lack of sleep kills your neurons, makes you less intelligent, makes you less capable of changing, all these sorts of things. Yes, so we want to look after and protect our existing brain cells by eating healthily, exercising often, sleeping well over 7 hours every single day, making time for the things that we love, working on our purpose in life, steering clear of drama and stress and all these sorts of things. And that's going to give you clarity. And let me give you another strategy of how to be clearer in your life. There is a massive feedback loop between our external world and our internal world. This is for the majority. Don't get me wrong. There are some more enlightened beings out there who, no matter what happens in the external world, they're in control of the internal world. It's like they're constantly walking around with this kind of armor, this physical shield, where no matter what happens, if someone's being rude or disrespectful or harsh or anything like that, it will never affect them, because they don't give away, they're not reactive. We don't give away our power, our attention, our focus to things that we don't want to give it to. We're in control of our state. And you know, that is a very high level that we can all get to, but you're going to find it hard to get there if you're living in survival mode. You're going to find it hard to get to that level if you're constantly living by stress, if you're constantly making the same sort of mistakes on a regular basis, if you're not adhering to a healthy life that supports brain and heart coherence, brain-heart congruency, these sort of things. And instead, you know, emotional turmoil, emotional stress creates oxidative stress, which harms our cells, and which creates all kinds of imbalances, knocks us out of homeostasis, causes a dysfunction, a disproportionate balance within our neurochemistry in terms of our neurotransmitters as well. You know, excessive levels of norepinephrine or epinephrine, and very low levels of serotonin or dopamine, or excessive levels of these, and therefore it ruins our ability to function optimally. We make worse choices more often. We're like, why did I do that? I can't believe I just did that. That was such a big mistake. It's because you've been knocked out of homeostasis. You've been knocked out of balance because of stress. And that can happen if you have an incident in life, if you develop an illness or a disease in life. It can knock you out of homeostasis. Stress definitely knocks you out of homeostasis as well. You make worse choices more often. Your sleep suffers. You might develop sleep disorders, insomnia, and all these sorts of things. I'm not going to go into this, but sometimes I get a bit carried away, you see. So yes, clarity is essential. So earlier I was saying that there's a massive feedback loop between our internal and external world. And one way to combat this is to look after our external world. Essentially, I learned this from Jim Rohn, and he says, always leave something better than when you arrived, which is why I like to, and a lot of people see it as being polite, respectful, cordial, which is absolutely fantastic. But for me, there's a deeper level of why I'm doing it. So whenever I leave like a meeting or something like that, I always tuck my chair in. Whenever I've gone into, you know, if I was on the computer, I always like to finish something before I leave. Finish what you start, don't be a dabbler, for example. So there's lots of different principles that we learn when we do live this kind of way. Always leave things, like if I was having a chat with someone and they were very emotional, very distressed and all these sort of things, I'm only going to leave them once I've got them into a better emotional state. And when you live your life by always leaving things more positively than when you arrived, your life begins to take on a whole different level of joy, appreciation, energy, momentum. You feel so enlightened, because I personally feel like we all have that God within us. That God is love, right? Love is God, or Allah, or spirituality, or karma, or whatever beliefs you have. That greater power exists within us all. It's just that we kind of drown it, suppress it, with our own ego, with our wanting of self-worth, or of our own significance, and wanting to be superior, and wanting to be unique and different. We kind of drown that love, that greater power that we all have within us, that aliveness, that energy, that appreciation, that gratitude. It diminishes over time, and instead we start to suffer in terms of how we live our lives, in terms of what we've taught ourselves, how connected we are to ourselves, our past, our future, what we're capable of doing, what our fears are, what our insecurities are, how jealous we are, how upset we are in our lives, and all these sorts of things. And we need to let this light shine within us, and that can happen. That can only happen through clarity. You can only be positive once we have clarity. Clarity can stem from cleaning your physical environment. literally having clear, I love it. I like high ceilings and clear surfaces. I love space because space means clarity. Space means choice. And you also want to create that sense of completeness. Now, I'm not cleaning for control, which is more like OCD. People who become addicted to cleaning and organizing things because they just want control of everything, and that's actually a fear response. It's actually not a sign of control because it's an addiction. An addiction is a lack of control. Anyway, we want to have clean, organized spaces and places amongst us, and because we want that clarity within. Like I said, the feedback loop between the internal world and the external world. So practice being organized, practice cleaning where you are, where you live, practice leaving all your situations better than how you found it, like I said earlier. And these are just some of the ways in which we can become more peaceful. Start to embed peaceful habits in your life, whether it be having a diary or having someone whom you talk to who challenges you, that holds you accountable, and these sort of things that keeps you focused on your goal. So you stay focused, you stay positive, you stay on your path. You're not distracted by that negativity, your own brain, your own unconscious trying to put you off from doing new things because of fear of the unknown, fear of change and all these sort of things. Your brain is built to make you survive, but not to make you happy. So we need to overcome ourselves. We need to kind of appease ourselves and do so. So it's not about never feeling fearful, it's about acting even in the face of fear. And that's what courage is. We need to be more courageous, we need to be more brave and all these sorts of things. We need to develop our character and we need to become more resilient, and that happens only through clarity. You know, no one can shine and thrive and make better decisions in life if they're living in stress response. And yes, external events do cause stress response, so don't associate yourself with certain people if they're very dramatic, if they're getting involved in negative things and they're kind of dragging you into it. Like, you don't want a stressful life. You don't want a dramatic life, because you're going to get into your stress response and living in chronic stress. Often you're going to make worse choices. Your brain's going to suffer. You're going to become less intelligent. You're going to make worse choices throughout your life, like I've said. And that's going to lead to a whole host of mental and emotional issues in your life, as well as physical issues as well. So yeah, take these kind of things into account. Challenge yourself, make time for the things you love, make time for the people you love, and because that's the art of happiness, right? Having unconditional love for those around you and also yourself, and feeling a deep sense of connectedness and oneness with the whole world, with all objects, with all the basic things in life. Start to become connected to the basic things. Make life simpler. The more complicated we make processes, the worse it is. Like they say in business as well, if you can't write down what your business plan is, what your vision is on a napkin, on a very small piece of paper, your business idea is too hard. It's not going to work. It's much more unlikely to work. Keep things simple. You know, Steve Jobs makes life simpler and creates more clarity in his life because he was wearing the same kind of outfit every single day. Now, hopefully he had a spare change of clothes, like same outfit but different actual clothes, surely. And these are small ways that we can make life simpler for ourselves, so that we can spend more time focusing on what makes us more joyous, more peaceful, more happy, more positive. That creates more clarity in our mind. Practice stimulating BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factors. Really, really important, because it helps to stimulate neurogenesis, creation of new neurons in your brain, having more energy, making better decisions, improving your quality of life, increasing the amount of energy you have every single day, because that's what learning does to us. It makes us more intelligent, it makes us learn more. And BDNF can be stimulated. I've done other videos on this, I'm not going to go into it, in a whole host of different ways. You know, enriching, exposing yourself to rich external things, like looking at the mountains, looking at the sea, that actually stimulates BDNF. Exposing yourself to hot and cold exposure, whether through showers, bath, or these sort of things, stimulates BDNF. Eating an omelette, these certain traditional foods high in glutamate can help stimulate BDNF. Exercising, HIIT training, high intensity interval training, can help stimulate BDNF. Sleeping well helps to stimulate BDNF, and all these sorts of things. Why do you want to do this? It develops more of that childlike, sponge-like mentality where you're able to learn things and acquire things more quickly. You make better decisions, you're more relaxed. You learn more easily, you become a better individual over time, okay, to put it quite succinctly. So yes, take these sort of things seriously. I'm sure you are. Look after yourself, hit the subscribe button, and also click the notification bell, because every single week I release several videos like this, and you're definitely going to want to stay updated. Have a good day, stay strong.